with Dr Nataliya Ilyushina, economist and research fellow with RMIT. Nataliya, you were one of the few economists to correctly predict there'd be no rate cut by the RBA earlier this week. Is the global economic outlook regarding Trump's tariffs playing into that decision-making?
Hi, Alex. Yes, it does absolutely make a difference. And in a speech of Reserve Bank Governor following my commentary where I was pleasantly surprised that I correctly pointed it out that there shouldn't be a rate cut, she mentioned the global uncertainty and also highlighted that we need to have a leeway and a leverage to battle if there is more escalation in the global trade wars. And that's exactly what happened. Just a day later, we see a whooping 200% tariffs threatened by Donald Trump, and that's exactly when you realize that this rate cut that was held on the same rate was exactly right decision, and now we still have a lot of leverage to fight whatever is the trade war has to come our way.
If those tariffs on Australian copper and pharmaceuticals are imposed, how serious would that be for Australia's economy?
So the pharmaceutical tariffs are quite complicated matter. What is interesting that 40% of our pharmaceutical exports go to the United States, and that's over 2 billion. But they do export their pharmaceuticals to us, and that needs a little bit of explanation. We do send them mostly blood products and vaccines, and they do sell us the actual medicines. And the issue here is not so much the monetary value, which, as we know, our trade with the United States overall is relatively small. United States, it's not even in the top trading partners. But what Trump wants out of this tariff is the changes to Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, and what exactly he wants is to make sure that American made medicines, especially innovative ones, are put on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, or the scheme are wiped out completely and it becomes a free market like in the United States.
Why is the US so interested in the PBS, Nataliya?
PBS heavily subsidizes medicines, and what we get in Australia is maximum that we would pay for a medicine that is a prescription medicine as part of Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme is only $31, and if you're a concession card holder, that's only going to be $7, which is very important because it could be an antibiotics that you have no choice about buying. And obviously those medicines that are on Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme are quite they have a lot of demand, and it's easier to sell for a producer because they're heavily subsidized. But the problem that Trump and American pharma is facing with PBS is that it takes very long here to put a medicine on Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. It takes years, not just because of clinical trials, but because we have a really bureaucratic cost-benefit analysis process to ensure that this medicine actually benefits us. There have been a lot of criticism about Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, but Trump, of course, wants to completely dismantle it and wants a free market in Australia as well, to not just to sell the medicines, but also to please Americans who obviously are unhappy when they go overseas and they see medicines overseas are times cheaper than in America. The notorious Ozempic is 10 times cheaper in the UK or in Australia than in the United States, and that of course causes great discontent amongst the American public. And clearly what Donald Trump is doing here, he's killing multiple birds with one stone, helping his local pharmaceutical producers and pleasing the local public.
And look, Nataliya, there are probably plenty of Australians maybe even shouting at the TV screen right now saying, yeah, that's all well and good and very detailed and great explanation, but how does it affect me? What's going to happen if those tariffs come in? Are Australians going to notice it when they go to get their medicines?
Unless our government, which is Treasury and Prime Minister, starts implementing changes or relaxing to Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, we shouldn't see any changes. As I mentioned before, there is a strict cap on the prescription medicines that we won't pay more than $31 copayment as an average citizen. However, if they cave in and they don't find any